Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play Blades of Avernum. Last episode, we managed to infiltrate the Order of Blood's headquarters. We've killed a few of them, just a few. We've tried to avoid what we could, and thankfully all the rooms that we barged into, we could just close the doors immediately after and not have to fight anyone. But we managed to find our way to the basement. We managed to find the power area, which we still need to blow up. There's no other way we can turn it off. And there was hint of automated defenses somewhere. Yay! Now, let's head downstairs to try and find the explosives. This is one of two shell magazines. All around you are containers housing the volatile irradiated shells. From what you've heard, if this magazine were to go off, it would destroy the entire basement. It's hard to imagine that anything could blast through the solid rock foundation of the tower, but there are so many shells here that it might just be possible. It would only take a small explosive to set this magazine off. An explosive like the ones in your backpack. Do you set one? Not yet. I'm just going to take a look around, because that's what I do. Alright. Set the explosive. You place the explosive between two of the containers. You don't want to be anywhere near this place when these shells go off. You know they're on a timer that won't start until you activate it, but just looking at the parcel of explosives setting amidst the shells makes you nervous. The sooner you set the second explosive and get out of here, the better. Yeah, climb. And let's get to the other one. Still haven't seen these automated defenses yet, though. Could be they weren't set up. Just a sec. This is the second of the two shell magazines. It's identical to the first. If blowing up the first magazine doesn't destroy the power grid, blowing up the second magazine as well will almost certainly do so. Do you set the second explosive? Yeah. Wrong number, type of parameters, line 211. Crap! Reloading. Alright, let's try this again. Descend. This time I'm just going to set the explosive. Climb. Let's try this again. Descend. Set the explosive. Wrong number, type of parameters, line 211. Let's try it the other way around. Reloading. Let's try going to the other one first. Because if this unfinished game is in a situation where we can't... Okay, that one's set. Now for this one. Do we actually have it? Yeah, we do still have the explosives. Set the explosives. With the second explosive in place, your work here is complete. Now all you have to do is activate them remotely, then run like hell. Climb the stairs. You reach the top of the stairs and turn around. You aren't sure if the remote detonator will work much further away. If it doesn't, you'll have to come back and set it again. Approaching the possibly armed explosive isn't an appealing process. So after a deep breath that could very well be your last, you activate the remote detonator. Nothing immediately explodes, which is a good sign. If it worked, you now have 5 minutes before the timed explosives go off. The further you get, the better. Yep, away we go! You round the corner at a dead sprint, eager to reach the stairs and escape this doomed basement. What you see brings you to a screeching halt. A strange flickering field blocks the stairway. It seems thin as gauze, but from experience you know that trying to pass through would be as futile as trying to walk through walls. A magic barrier. Damn! You stand still for a moment, contemplating the implication of the barrier's appearance. Most pressing is the fact that you are now stuck in a basement that is about to explode. An uneasy feeling of claustrophobia rises within you, gradually intensifying to outright panic. You're trapped. Trapped in a powder keg and the fuse is burning closer. A magic barrier blocks this passage, effectively sealing you in the basement. How to bring it down is of great importance, since escaping before the explosives go off is a rather pressing issue. Unfortunately, you don't have the slightest idea how to do so. You'll have to either figure out how to do so or hope that the explosion doesn't reach you here. The second isn't an appealing option. This? No. Well, we're in trouble. A deafening explosion from behind you knocks you to your feet. The chain reaction of exploding shells from the magazines has begun. Berkeley was correct when he said the explosion would be enough to knock out the power grid. In fact, it was enough to destroy the entire basement. How unfortunate that you were still in it. Okay, how do we get out of here? Alright, let's try this again. This time we know we need to do it this way around. Second is set. Get out of there. Detonator is set. Now we just need to get out of here somehow. Great. You have to either figure out how to do so, or... So then how... I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Can't cast any spells on it. Yeah, there it goes. How do I get out of here? Reloading. This is very, very concerning. What if instead of running to it, I run to the main entrance or something? Also, why is that barrier there? Oh! At the top of the overlook stands Alarbus, who leans over the main control panel. It is difficult to tell from behind, but he appears to be working rather frantically. Hoping for a chance to ambush him, you approach quietly and ready a spell. Even though he is preoccupied with his work, he whirls about to face you. No decent wizard would be taken unaware so easily, and unlike the rest of his men, Alarbus is more than decent. You. I knew the moment I heard the alarm that you were the one behind this. Surprised? You think I'd leave my quarters completely unguarded? Your intrusion did not go unnoticed. I had hoped that you had been kind enough to walk right into my hands. How unfortunate that you had to do this. I can imagine why you've disabled the containment runes on the shell magazines. Really quite clever of you to use our own explosives against us. Futile. I will have the runes on again in no time. But clever nonetheless. Now we can do this two ways. You can resist me, in which case I will destroy you and then turn on the runes. Or you can surrender. I will secure the magazines and then take you to my master alive. Either way I will save the tower, then bring either you or your corpse to my master. But the second option is so much more convenient for both of us. You see, I'm not eager to tarry here while thousands of pounds of explosives are about to set off, and I'm sure you aren't eager to die either. So, do this sensible thing. Surrender. I don't think so. Alarbus shrugs, but you think you see a trace of worry pass his face. He is a trained and experienced wizard, but he is not as confident as he would have you think. Very well. My master grows impatient with the failures of my subordinates. He would have me eliminate you myself. Now you will feel the strength of a true warlock. Alarbus gestures and a wall of magic barriers appears between you and the door. Before you can react, he is preparing another spell. Okay then. Ow. That was quite painful. That was also quite painful. Alarbus stumbles back after your last attack. Fear is beginning to enter his eyes. His facade of confidence is cracking. You brace yourself as he reaches inside his robes, expecting some new weapon. Instead, he stands still. He mutters to himself as he nervously brings the object, which is concealed by his robes. No, not yet. There are things worse than defeat, things much worse. Master won't be pleased with another failure. No, not pleased at all. His eyes suddenly grow hard, and a look of desperate determination enters his face. Bring me the fugitive, and so I shall. He laughs wildly and pulls his hand from his cloak. Thankfully, it remains empty. Instead, he begins to recite another spell. You! Okay. Now. Lightning spray. That did not work as well as I'd hoped. Alarbus is now panting from the strain of your duel, and blood is dripping from his lip where he bit to the point of piercing the skin. It's impossible. His eyes dart about nervously, and he cowers like a cornered animal. Worse than death. His rage cannot follow me there, but what can? He throws back his cloak to reveal the object that he was fondling earlier. It thankfully isn't a weapon, but rather a teleportation rod. Apparently his fear of his master's displeasure are outweighed by his fear of imminent death. If he's to punish me, he laughs as he clutches the rod, first he'll have to find me. Wisps of energy flow from the rod to wrap around him. Soon he'll be gone, and you'll be trapped here with the time bombs and the magazines. Damn. In a last-ditch effort to keep him from escaping, you hurl a bolt of lightning towards Alarbus. By some strange twist of fate, the bolt flies straight to the teleportation rod, as though drawn by a magnet. The web of energy that envelops him swirls ever faster, until it is a torrent of violent magic. You feel as though the lightning bolt has become some sort of conduit between you and the rod, dragging you towards it as though it were a physical rope. The swirling force increases in magnitude, fed by both your own energy and the power of the out-of-control teleportation rod. It's a familiar scene, and it's no more fun being on this side than being the one holding the rod. You watch as Alarbus' skin begins to crackle and wither, burned by the wild magics. His mouth opens in a soundless scream, absorbed completely by the whirlwind surrounding him. Suddenly his entire body bursts into flame, and he crumples to the ground. The torrent of energy disappears the moment the rod falls from his fingers. The draining sensation thankfully ends as well, leaving you on your knees gasping for breath. The silence of the room is broken only by your heavy breathing and the sound of the teleportation rod as it rolls from Alarbus' lifeless hands across the tiled floor. It stops at your feet. You look at it tiredly and find that the power supply is undamaged. It is red hot, but by wrapping your hand in your shirt you manage to pocket it without significant burns. You look behind you, suddenly remembering the imminent explosion in the magazines below. The barriers that block the doorway have fallen. The way out is now clear. With great effort you stand, wearied by your battle with Alarbus and the draining of the teleportation accident. Your exhausted body is driven by force of will and necessity. Of course there was nothing I could do there. Please hold while I go back to the point I was at. Alright, back to where I was. Let's get out of here. You somehow drag yourself to the top of the stairs. You're rounding the corner into the storage courtyard, the end in sight, when suddenly the floor beneath you buckles, sending you sprawling to the ground. The entire tower shakes as the magazines detonate. Shells from below blast through the floor, laying waste to the tower as they soar into the air. The effect of the explosion is like a claymore mine. A claymore mine that can blow through walls. You must have hit your head when you landed. You wake up with a severe headache and a dim memory of the din of trembling rock and terrified screams. You try to move, but realize you're trapped by debris. Considering the rubble and destruction all around you, the pile of stone atop you isn't much. You feebly attempt to move it, but in your weakened state it is hopeless. You were so close to completing your mission. All that was left was to launch your flare and wait for the Cypriots to bear you away. So close. You lay on your back and stare at the cracked ceiling as the pain and exhaustion gradually cloud your mind. A sliver of moonlight filters through one of the holes that was blasted in the tower by the shells. One of the holes. You strain to reach your pack, which landed a few feet away. You pull out the blue flare that Captain Rice gave you, and with blurry vision aim it at the hole in the ceiling. You only have one shot at this. With a whoosh, the flare rockets through the air, streaking through the crack and on into the night sky. You sag back with satisfaction and allow the blackness to carry you under again. Over here! This one's in a bad way. Leave him. Our work's already done for us. Wait, look at his robes. I think this is... Is it? Yes, you're right. It's him. Be careful with him. His back may be broken. Hands reach through the rubble, picking you out and bearing you up. You feel fresh air, clear of the dust and dirt of the explosion, and before you slip away again, you hear the sound of the sea. When you wake, you feel much improved. Your body retains some lumps and bruises, but your head is now clear and the drained feeling is gone. You stand shakily and wince as you put weight on your sore limbs. At least you're intact. You wonder where you've been brought and how you got here. The events after your fight with Alerbus are rather blurred. Huh. A strange wizard stands before you. He wears long white robes that almost drag on the floor, but instead hang just inches above the tile. He seems oddly familiar, although you're sure you haven't seen him among the leaders of Cyprus. Which is why it is odd that he is the first to greet you. Hello, Artemis. It is good to see that you are up and well. He looks you over for several seconds, then nods slowly and clears his throat. Yes, it is very good to see you. Indeed. But who are you? I am called Virgo. Perhaps that name means something to you, and perhaps not. I've never been one for public appearances, but nevertheless it's a name whispered through the Empire's innermost workings. I am sure you have many questions about the outcome of the attack on Gino. These will soon be answered. The governor and his men will be here presently to bombard you with praise and accolade, and rightly so, for you have done us all a great service. I will simply say this before I depart. I've been monitoring your progress and have been well pleased. I see a great potential in you, the same potential that causes our enemy to hunt you so fervently, even to fear you. Perhaps you wish to realize these fears. If this is the case, come speak with me at the estate. If I know you, which I think I do, you will choose to fight. At the very least, come by to pick this up. Virgo produces a ruined teleportation rod from one of his sleeves. He must have taken it while you were recovering. I will have this ready for you soon. He glances behind towards the door and then turns back to you. Now I must leave, for the governor and his men will be here any moment. It has been good seeing you, Artemis. You have put many of my fears to rest. See you later? The doors to the east are thrown open even as the last of Virgo's teleportation spell fades away. Governor Talus and a group of nobles stride into the room. Artemis! The governor exclaims as he rushes across the room to shake your hand. I'd like to extend to you my thanks, and the thanks of all of Cyprus. You are still a bit bewildered by your strange encounter with Virgo, so you stammer a bit as you grope for a response. The governor, though, is too enthusiastic about congratulating you to take notice. Excellent work. Simply excellent. We can't thank you enough for what you've done. He and the other nobles carry on in this way for several minutes. Eventually, Talus realizes that you aren't responding, and your eyes are beginning to glaze over. Oh, I'm sorry for bombarding you like this. I forgot that you're still recovering from your injuries. The fanfare will wait for now. He motions for the rest of the noblemen to depart, leaving you and the governor alone. Again, I'm sorry for bringing a crowd like that with me. I wasn't thinking. But if you don't mind, I have some business to discuss with you as well. I take it you're interested to hear what's happened since the Gino assault. Good. He motions towards the nearby chairs. Take a seat. Okay, then. I guess we just speak with him? As you take your seat, Talus begins speaking again, this time without the backslapping and handshaking. Alright, now let's get down to business. As I'm sure you gathered from our praises and the fact that the city of Cyprus is still standing, the assault on Gino went flawlessly. What order forces remained in Cyprus have been routed as well in the days since the assault. Days? How long have I been recovering? You were in bad shape when the general's men first found you. You had suffered quite a few injuries from the explosion and were pinned to the ground by fallen debris. They rushed you back to the ship where a medical inspection revealed that your physical wounds were mostly superficial, bruises and the like. However, to our doctor's dismay, you remained in a comatose state for days and showed no improvement. We brought in a local wizard. No easy task, as mages have been in short supply since the Order's purgings. He had diagnosed your malaise as a mental one, inflicted by some sort of backlash from a failed spell. Does that sound right? You slowly nod, thinking of the failed teleportation spell and the resulting leaden feeling of your mind. Well, he treated you for whatever it was. Said you could have suffered debilitating mental injuries had it been left untreated. We're all glad to see you're all right. Who was this wizard? I don't know. He never identified himself. One day the guards told us a strange man in white robes was standing at the steps of to the manse, but that he wouldn't speak a word to anyone, even to say why he was here. We went down to meet him in the hope he might be a travelling wizard that could offer aid. We hardly even had time to explain the situation before he was heading upstairs. Didn't even agree or ask for payment. Just made straight for your room. He'd been here about a week. You've been unconscious for going on 2. Then he left as suddenly as he came. I don't know what brought him here. Fate, I suppose, but he likely saved your life. Too bad he vanished without a thank you. So what happens now? Our main concern is trying to discover just who is behind the Order of Blood. We know for certain now that they were not just bandits. They had backing from somebody in the Imperial government. Somebody powerful. But besides that, we'll be working to get things back to normal. We've emptied out the prisons and started returning all the fines and stolen goods to their rightful owners. We're trying to put this behind us. As for you, well, I'm sorry to say that the operation on Gino is remaining classified information, so you won't be getting any public adoration. You do, however, have our deepest gratitude, and we haven't forgotten your promised reward. We have set the portal in the room to the west to return you to your home in Cascadaca. I do not know what you'll find. Somebody high in the Imperial government still wants you dead, but at least you will be able to leave Cyprus. He rises from his chair to shake your hand. Be wary and good luck. Thank you for all you have done. He turns to leave, but stops at the doorway. Oh, by the way, there's a lot of money for which we can't find the original owners. Speak to Chief Treasurer Stone. Perhaps he can find something for you. He closes the door, leaving you alone. You emerge from the portal feeling a bit dizzy and disoriented from the teleportation magic, but compared to your previous teleportation experiences, this was a breeze. You thank fate that you finally found a portal that works properly. You take stock of your surroundings. You recognize this as the guest portal chamber, although it's changed a bit since you last saw it. The tower itself seems different as well. Cold. You brace yourself as you open the door, knowing that the portal room opens out on the tower courtyard, the scene of the slaughter on that one eventful morning. As you step through the door into the ruined courtyard, a flood of memories hits you. Memories of the days when you and Aaron wore the beige novice robes, of hectic cramming and the tranquility of the weekend all in this courtyard. But now the garden is ruined. The bodies have been cleared, but nobody bothered to wash the blood-stained floors. Those old memories don't belong here. That was another place, a whole different era when the Order of Blood was nothing to you. Why did this happen? They came here to find Wizard Engelman. They came to arrest a peaceful man, and along the way they killed dozens more. Why? You can only guess at the answer. Anyone who might have provided you with information has disappeared. Your master, Ilyena, even Aaron. Perhaps the Order got to them. Perhaps you are the last fugitive to escape their grasp. You do not know why you are being pursued or who is pursuing you. You run, but you do not know where or why. All the familiar faces are gone, and you do not know where to turn for answers. You do not have the luxury of choosing your allies at this point. You must cast your lot with whoever will take you. For good or ill, fate has brought you to the Sentinels. You can only hope that following Virgo will lead you to whoever is responsible for this. Part 2, New Faces. Thank you for playing Threnody. I hope you've enjoyed it enough that you're angry that it's unfinished. If it's any consolation, there's still a bit more to do. You can explore the ruined tower, reanimate a golem, go pick up the teleportation rod from Virgo, play with a demon, badger a chef, all sorts of great stuff. But the main plot line is done here. You should leave whenever you get bored, which hopefully wasn't an hour ago. Maybe go play Frostbite or Tales from the Tabard Inn? I actually finish those. I do finish scenarios sometimes, I promise. That'll do, pig. So we can go back. Ow. Okay, well, while there is some, I guess it sounds like, various random small things to look at here, if we really wanted to, this is effectively a dead end, and I guess there's nothing else that we can really do here. So, I guess I'll look around a little. I think I can. The tower gates are closed and sealed. As far as you know, there's no mechanism to open them. They were never shut in your 8 years here, and probably only Engelman himself knew how to work them. You notice that just outside the gate a sign has been hung. The print is large enough that you can read it. Closed indefinitely by order of His Majesty the Emperor. Not particularly enlightening. Any number of lords and officials act with the authority of the Emperor. It was probably one of these that ordered the attack on the tower. The Emperor himself likely wasn't even informed. Okay then. You proceed into the dimly lit tower. The magical lights set in the ceiling that illuminate the tower have been switched off, giving the tower a vacant and uninviting atmosphere. You don't feel like you've come home. Your mind refuses to believe that this ruined tower is the same that you've lived and studied in for the last 8 years. And there's already cobwebs. That certainly says something. Climb the stairs. You climb the stairs to the second floor of the tower, which seems to have fared no better than the lower level. It's odd. Most of the damage on the first floor was caused by the destructive spells being hurled between the intruders and the tower's residents, but there was no fighting here on the second floor. The Order appears to have simply indiscriminately trashed the tower in their search for Wizard Engelman and whatever it was they came here for. Fortunately, they left once their search was finished. You are relieved to find they didn't leave behind an ambush or trap in case of your return. Yeah, these are basically the classrooms. This is your old bedroom. It is mostly unchanged, except that your bookshelves have been completely emptied. The thought of the Order poring over a shelf of textbooks and leisure novels in search of illicit materials is almost humorous. Almost. But the sight of your emptied room is too depressing for the senselessness of the situation to amuse you. Novice's quarters, lights out after 9. Alright, there was the doors over there. I can't see anything because it's so dark. You are surprised to find that Laboratory B has remained relatively undamaged. Considering the deliberate destruction of the rest of the tower, seeing a research lab that has basically been left untouched is quite odd. The bookshelves here have been emptied and the research logs removed as well. The golem, though, hasn't moved from its platform in the center of the ruins. Its metal plating still sparkles as brightly as on the day of the demonstration, though its gems are now dull and cold. Its lifeless iron state is largely unnerving, even though you know it hasn't been activated and is powerless to harm you. This is the control panel that Ilyana had used to control the demonstration. Most of the equipment below you is in good shape, and it may very well be possible to begin the experiment again. However, you don't have any experience or knowledge of how to work these controls, or how to properly control the animation process. All you can do is begin the sequence and hope that everything goes well. Let's leave it. Yeah, climb. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. The library. The bookshelves are barren now, but for as long as you live, you will always remember it the way it looked that fateful day. the last moments of your old life. There's not really much else here. And descend the stairs. This stairway leads to Wizard Engelman's personal quarters. During your time as a student here, this corridor was always sealed by a magical barrier that only Engelman and Ilyena could pass. Now, though, the barrier is gone. For some inexplicable reason, you find yourself surprised and angered that the Order dared to penetrate your master's personal sanctum, whether you yourself have never set foot. Somehow I ended up here. Someone just messaged me for some reason. You step into what was once You step into what once was Wizard Engelman's personal laboratory. You've never been here before, but you're certain that it has seen better days. The entire lab has been decimated by a massive explosion that, judging by the crater, originated from the west side of the room. Almost nothing survived the blast, and what did is in such poor condition that it is hardly recognizable. This must be what Ilyena meant when she said there were things that mustn't fall into the wrong hands. Looks like she managed to destroy the lab before the Order found it. You only hope she got away safely. This crater must mark the spot the explosion originated from. The force blasted a hole 3 feet into the marble floor, almost deep enough to crack through the ceiling of the level below. Whatever it was Ilyena used to destroy the lab, it was powerful. She wasn't taking any chances of something surviving, and nothing did. The entire lab was wrecked. There is nothing here that the Order could piece together or gather information from. A painting of a mountainous landscape hangs on the wall here, strangely undamaged by the blast that ruined everything else in the room. It's a beautiful painting. It would have been a shame if it had been destroyed. You wonder if perhaps Engelman put some sort of enchantment on the painting to protect it. It would have had to have been a heavy enchantment indeed to survive the blast. Heavier than even the most concerned art collector would expect a painting to need. Yeah, and I can't see if there's any doors around here. I do not like this. Ugh. I guess that's all there is here. Yeah, descend the stairs. I guess, while we could head back and do some more explorations, I think there's something else we can talk to someone about. This is basically the end of it. As he said, there's not really anything else here aside from fooling around a bit. So, you know what? I'm just going to end this episode here. It's gone on long enough anyway, and this is actually the end of, this guy's scenarios. He hasn't done any more, so it's time to move on to someone else. And I will say, this guy, I still can't remember his name. I am horrible with names. I really liked the scenarios. He's good at making them. They're pretty well balanced, mostly. He's an excellent writer. So far, I like this guy the best. Calandon's a close second, but only because he says his scenarios are meant for those who play on expert difficulty and the like, but they feel a lot more frustrating to deal with. They were, and that's why I like this one's better. But that's just me. That's just me. Others may feel differently. So, next episode we'll look at something else. Till then, I'm Chester44, that is Artemis, this has been a Blades of Avernum Let's Play, and I shall see you all next time.